Hi guys. Well, we're talking about Dave Canterbury and talking about the Pathfinder system on this survivalist versus prepper versus sheepdog video. Dave Canterbury and the Pathfinder system, I feel like that the Pathfinder system is beneficial to anybody who can utilize it and learn the way that that system works, because of the way that it doesn't set you up. It's not teaching you a sense of, let's go get lost on purpose just so we can test our skills. It's teaching you a system that is an everyday system, every day that you can live by system. Of course, I'm sitting in my kitchen right now. I'm in my house making the video, and I'll tell you, but even just with that, in the very basic sense of it, I carry that system with me everywhere I go. I'm not going to pull it out. Right now, the 5 C's, I have cordage. Worst case scenario, I have on shoes that have shoestrings. Those are cordage. I always carry with me everywhere I go cutting utensil. I always have a blade. If I dig in my pockets and I look around, I can always find that I always have a lighter that I have with me. I always keep that on my person just because you never know when you're going to come to that. When I'm at work, when I'm gone, when I'm out, I usually always have an aluminum water bottle with me. I always have at least 50 feet of paracord tucked away somewhere. When I'm at work, I found a really good way to have the paracord tucked away and hidden. I wear a lanyard that I carry an ID card on for work. I wear that lanyard, and the lanyard is made out of paracord. So even in that situation, you always learn that system, you incorporate it into your everyday to where it doesn't, it's not obvious that that's what you're doing, but it's there, and you know it's there. If you need to fall back on that, if you need to fall back on that primary skill set, it's there to fall back on. I highly encourage you to go and to take a look and do a little reading about learning some more about the Pathfinder system, about the C's of survival. They are a very great resource. We have a lot of information up about that. If you go to www.tnoutdoorforum.com, there's a ton of information on there in the Survivalist section about the C's of survival. Now, one critical element and error that I feel like is made by the survivalist field, we're talking about pros and cons here, so we're going to give it to all where it may come, is that within the survivalist field, you're going to find that a lot of these guys are, they actually lack the preparedness. They lack the organization. These guys are guys that train, and the way they trains them to act in an impromptu manner. They're going to act with what they have on hand at the time, and in all honesty, that's good, and and that is necessary. Give me a drink right there. That is good, and that is necessary, in that you don't know when you're going to get lost. If you knew when you were going to get lost, why would you get lost? So these guys have trained, and they've learned, and they've taught themselves, a lot of them in instances of 25, 30 plus years, that you have to prepare for whatever comes down the pike, which I feel like that they do the prepare for whatever, but they also lack the prepped readiness that you find in the preppers. Preppers have a plan. Regardless, they have a plan for their scenario. They have a plan together. They have an idea. They have operational security. Either way, they have a set, fixed design and system, locations. They have all of that laid out. And even not necessarily the wilderness survivalist type situations, but even with just, bugging out in the woods. If you were going to go bug out in the woods, even if you're going to bug out in the woods, you still have to have a plan. You have to have some kind of operational security. You have to have some kind of a idea and a sense of, how am I going to get home? How am I going to get away? How am I going to bug out? You've got to have that sense. You've got to have that presence to make those decisions at a moment's notice when it comes time for you to do that. And that's where I feel like a lot of these guys lack, is that their planning is just strictly for, if I'm found in this situation, then this is what I'm going to do. And that's not necessarily beneficial in a Totonawonki situation. You're not necessarily going to have that you're not going to have that capacity to be able to make that decision on the fly. The last group that I want to talk about and I want to discuss is I want to discuss the sheepdogs. And these guys are great Americans. A lot of these guys, former military men, men and women that have served the United States military honorably, that have come into civilian life and have taken the role to say that I'm going to be ready at a moment's notice in the event that my country needs me. I'm going to stand up for the innocent. I'm going to stand up for the weak, the people that can't stand up for themselves. If my country needs me to do so, or if the well-being of my country needs me to do so, not necessarily the government needs you to do so. And that's a big point to make in this, is that when I say my country, I don't necessarily mean the government needs you to stand up and say so. A lot of people think that those two are intertwined, that when you say your country, that you mean the government, and that's not necessarily the case. You know, our government's getting increasingly corrupt. We have a man in the White House right now that's an enemy to Israel. He's an enemy, in my opinion, he's an infidel to the United States, has caused us a great amount of debt, has almost doubled, even tripled our national deficit just in the time he's been in office, has brought in more entitlement programs and more entitlement programs to create. It's created this socialized medicine, socialized Medicare, to create just another big burden of debt on the shoulders of my son, of my kid, of all of your kids too. And, you know, not getting into the political realm, but I mean, I feel like that this is it's just one more reason for all of us guys to be ready. I don't know what your all's philosophies are. I don't know how you all feel, and I'm definitely not trying to preach or not trying to shove my opinions down your throat in any way. I don't want you to think that. But the thing is this, is that when it comes down to it, somebody has to be there. Somebody has to stand up. We have a whole generation that is not able to protect themselves. They're not able to defend themselves. You know, that includes my parents, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles. All these people who, a lot of them, many of them served in the United States military. My grandfather was a World War II vet, served in the European theater of World War II. My dad served in Vietnam. I've got an uncle that served in Vietnam. Many of them have spent time, have served in the military, and done their time overseas. And the torch of being the ones who would stand up and who would stand up for what's right for our country and for our nation, the torch of being that person is handed on to my generation. To my people. Coming from a very large family, you know, I can say that I want to be able, when that day comes, if it comes, God forbid, and do understand, I pray that it never comes. I pray that it never happens that way. But when and if that day comes, I want to be the one that my family turns to say, Brandon, what do we do? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? I want to be that sheepdog that's sitting there, that's ready for them, that has a plan, that can bring a plan together, that can help to defend them. I want to be able to stand up. I want to be armed, locked, loaded, ready to go, ready to stand at a moment's notice, and if needs be, put down my life on the line. You know, you might say, you know, you can't fight, you're not a soldier. I've never had any training as a soldier, but I want to tell you, I'd grab my gun and I'd go to the line in a minute. If it meant laying my life out for my family, to protect my family, even to protect my community, to protect my friends, I would lay my life on the line in a minute, step up to the line, and bear down. And you better believe I'd get my gun. We'd be out there fighting along with everybody else. And I feel like that's my duty. That it's my duty to do that. I didn't pay the service to my country. I didn't serve in the military, but I will tell you, I'd go at a moment's notice to stand up just for the principles that we live by, for the life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, for the Constitution of the United States. I'd be more than glad to step to that line and take on that task. I'm running out of time here again on another video, guys, but, you know, just to go to show you, you know, there's differences in all three of these. I feel like one of the flaws of the sheepdog end of this is that the sheepdogs are not really prepared for one or the other episodes. They're just simply prepared for the what if the government collapses, what if the government tries to overthrow, declares martial law, we're going to stand up, we're going to rise to the occasion at that point in time. And, I feel like there could be a little bit more preparedness and operational setups there to kind of control this in effect. Guys, I'm going to put out some more videos like this. I've got to cut this one. If you have any questions or comments, it's just a little bit about what I was thinking tonight. Please feel free to leave me a comment in the description below. And as always, thank you for tuning in. Have a good night, guys.